Hi there, I'm playing with junk again, and this time it's not really junk, it's a big fat Cisco switch. It's a Nexus 7000 model 7010, and that means it has 10 slots, 8 for switch modules and 2 for supervisor modules. That makes a total of 384 ports, and each one is 10 gigabit per second. This device is about 8 years old. It depends on which module you're looking at. So the newest module is only 4 years old. It has a manufacturing date of 2020, so it's not really an old device. Here on the front side, the first thing that catches your eye is this cover here. It's a transparent plastic cover that can be opened, and it's not really something special. It's only the space where you can store and stow your cables, route your cables, going from here to here and then down to the rack and to your infrastructure. So that's not a big deal. When I saw it on a picture, I thought this is some kind of power supply or something. No, it's just cable storage. Then we have 10 slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. You can see the two in the center here are a little bit smaller, a little bit narrower. We have one supervisor module and one empty space for a second redundant supervisor module. And we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 free spaces for more switch modules. And then a little bit lower we have these giant metal grills here. That's the air intake, and you will see when I turn it on, this uses a lot of cooling air and makes a lot of noise. On the back side here there's the air outlet. We have two large ventilator modules. Then we have two more ventilator modules. And here we have 5 crossbar modules that connect all the modules that are vertically on the front side. They connect them horizontally, so all modules on the front side get connected. And finally on the bottom here we have 2 power supplies. Each one has 6 kilowatts, that's 6,000 watts per power supply. Of course they are redundant, so it's 6,000 watts, and that's another 6,000 in case one fails. It has 2 power inputs. You can use it with only one input, then it has 3,000 watts at 230 volt. You can use it with 110 or 115 volt, then it only has 1,500 watt. If you use both at low voltage, you get 3,000 watts. You can even use one high voltage, one low voltage, so 220, 110, and that combines to 4,500 watt. So you can think about this of this like a 2 independent power supply in one case, and the same of course on this side. So I think it's time to turn it on. The first thing you will notice is these three boards here are not equal. They have a different design with the LEDs and so. This is a F2 board, generation 2 or model F2. This is an F2E, and this is an F3 board, which has its LEDs here, and the others have the LEDs here. And that's already the first problem with these boards. The first problem is these LEDs are very, very dim, so they are yellow at the moment. This one is green status, but you can hardly see it. And the second problem is the first 12 LEDs are behind that lever. So from the front you can't see them. You can push the lever that way or that way, so you can see the LEDs, but under normal circumstances they are completely blocked off and you only see 13 to 48 here. So that's pretty dumb. And they're also not really bright, so you can hardly see if they are yellow or green. On the other hand, the revision 3 board or F3 board has really bright LEDs here in the center, which are little arrows that point in this or this direction, meaning it's one of the 2 slots. But there is also a problem if you're using these RJ45 adapters here. You can't see the LEDs at all. So I guess it's not really the idea to use these adapters in a switch like that, but you can do it, and well, you will lose the ability to see the LEDs. But at least they are bright, and if you're using normal SFPs for optical cables, you can see them. In fact, these 2 LEDs are now off because there is no link. So as soon as you put an SFP in, the yellow light goes off, and when you put the cable in, the green light goes on. Now let's take it apart and see what's inside. So here is just a cover. Then we have the I/O modules, and they have levers with buttons, and if you push the button, the lever springs forward and you can grab them and pull them out when you loosen the screw. There is a little trick here, or a little feature. These buttons here are connected with a switch to the main board of this I/O module, and if you push both buttons, it will automatically power down the module. So be careful if you're playing around with the thing. Don't push both buttons, because the whole module will go down in that moment. And that makes sense because it turns off the power, and then you can replace that while the whole switch or the rest of the switch is working. Let's start with the F2 model board, I/O board. As I said, it has 48 ports, 10 gigabit each. There are faster boards with faster ports. The fastest are 100 gigabit, but they have only 16 ports. And in comparison, There is the F2E board. I don't know if that means enhanced. It looks almost the same, except the main cooler here has gone from black to silver, but everything else is pretty much the same. So these voltage regulators here do have a cooling fin or a cooling plate. These don't have that. Maybe they are better, more efficient. It's the same RAM module, and it's also the same PCB art here. You see all these race cars, and I think that's the shape of a famous racetrack. I just don't know which one it is, but I'm pretty sure every Formula One fan knows which one it is. It is Hockenheim? No, I don't think so. Must be something American, probably. I don't know. Let me know. Write it in the comments. And then we have the F3 board, which does more or less the same, but looks completely different. It's a new board. It has blue heatsinks. That looks very nice. That little card here is a flash card that contains the firmware or the software of that board. Do we have any board art? Not really. It just has this Cisco logo, copyright 2014. Okay, no images, nothing like that. And last but not least, we have the supervisor board. At least here on the front. There are more boards on the back side. I read somewhere in the manuals there is a Xeon processor down here, or maybe two. If you look at the heatsink, well, maybe one, I don't know. Can we see it? No, it's closed all around. I think it's one, because it's a super flat heatsink, so it needs to be a little bit bigger. Then we have RAM. I think I found 12 gigabytes for 3x4. Oops, I'm playing with the zoom button when I shouldn't. There is a battery to maintain date and time. There are 3 flash modules, because this one has a lot of software. Oh, I see, there is space for a second processor and a second set of RAM. So in fact, there must be a 2-processor version of that. There are also some more unpopulated chips here. Also here we have one voltage regulator and space for another one. Capacitors, these are mounted, these not. I think that's for the second processor. Then we have some DC-DC converters that are not installed. We also have one management Ethernet connector, and there is space for a second one, for the second CPU, of course. By the way, if you hear honking from time to time, it just started snowing, and it snows pretty much. And well, most people still have summer tires on their cars. Well, me too. And yeah, traffic breaks down immediately in such situations. Let's look at the back side. We have power supplies, and as soon as there is power, we have 2 green LEDs, sorry, We say normally LEDs because that's shorter. And if I unplug that, you can even secure the plug with these screws here. The green lights go out. These power supply modules are pretty heavy, but from the outside you can only see fans. And there is the label with some data. You can see high, that means 200 to 240 volts on both inputs, 6000 watts. Only one high input, 3000 watts. High-low, 4200. I said 4500, okay, it's only 4200 because it's only 1200 watts on low voltage. Too low voltage is therefore 2400 watts. And that's also an interesting number, 50 volts, 120 amps. That's not too bad. And then on the back side we also have a big fan and some really beefy connectors here. So here are the control pins that turn power on or off, and that's the big ones. I guess the fat ones here are for this 50 volts and the smaller ones are 3.3 volts. 3.4 volts, okay, at 30 amps. So that's 10 amp per connector. Yes, I think that's about right. Then on the back, still on the back, we have these fabric modules, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are identical. And they, oops, I should push the button. Yes, that makes it easier. They connect all the cards on the front together with all these connectors here. There is also a mid-plane, so these connectors don't go directly to the boards on the front, but I guess the mid-plane is only routing for all the signals. By the way, here you can see the cable that goes to the button here. So if that lever is pushed and the lever springs out, the board will register that. Also on the other side, there's the cable, there's the connector, and it will power off when both levers are out, or yes. If you know my channel, you know I'm a big fan of big fans, and this is a medium big fan. Well, it's not too bad. It is what, a 20 centimeter fan. It spins a little bit sluggish. That's a little bit strange. Normally they go better. Maybe it needs a drop of oil. There is, of course, a fan control module that regulates the speed of the fan according to the demands of the supervisor board. And these two fans suck the air out through this hole here and also this opening here. And you can see the label. You should replace that fan with it within 2 minutes. This fan or this fan, they are both taking the same air in. And if you look down here, you can see that the boards actually have holes for the airflow, and I guess the air is coming in here on the side. Yes, there are holes, so it comes in here, goes through across the entire board, and will then be sucked out here and then blown out through that grill. And if the fan that I just pulled out are not big enough, there are even bigger fans here, or at least there are 2, no, there are 4 in this drawer. Oh no, there are 6. Oh, heavy. So it's basically the same fan, but 6 times in this drawer here. I don't know what this space is for. It's enclosed all around, so there's no airflow. But maybe you can hide some stuff there if you want. Nobody will ever find it because nobody dares to turn that thing off. Even if the fans are, of course, hot swappable. I guess so. But also you have to replace them within short time, because if the cavity here is open, the airflow will be wrong, so all the air rushes now in here instead of on the front or whatever they do, and yeah, it's probably not the best way to let it run like that for a long time. By the way, if you own such a switch and you find this sound here pretty annoying, so let me show you a little trick. That's the empty modules, the module blanks here. Big metal plates. They slide here into these tracks here, into these grooves, and at the very end they can have a little bit of play here, they can move sideways, and that's what you hear now. Now if you just tighten the upper screw and you loosen the lower screw of each one, well, it's not really good, but maybe I have to pull it a little bit out. Yeah, now it's a little bit better. The reason is, if you loosen that screw, the whole board will go down on the back side and will stay into this groove and cannot rattle that much. I find it a little bit embarrassing from a manufacturer like Cisco to have rattling boards here, but maybe they did it on purpose, because if you remove these blanks and put in some proper I/O cards, you don't have that problem anymore. Maybe that's the idea behind it. Okay, thanks for watching.